You know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm just done. The whole idea of even getting dressed is ridiculous to me now. God help me if I had money. God help me if I had money. I'd never shower again. I think that guy, what was his name? Hugh? God, Spruce Goose guy? What was his name? I don't know. Hugh Magoo? What did he do? He laid in bed? He let his fucking fingernails grow down to the floor while he read books? I'm into that. That's what I feel like doing these days. Except me, it would be me on the phone. I'm perfectly happy just laying in bed and just watching my phone and letting my fingernails grow till they touch the fucking ceiling fan. What else is there to do? It's either that or you get out of bed. No wonder why everybody's popping pills. You get out of bed to go work 2 fucking jobs so they can strip away half your money in taxes. Then after you get done breaking your ass, the guys are like, hey, why don't you come out for a beer? You go out to a bar for a beer. You drive home, you get a DWI. You can't even go out to a bar anymore. I mean, unless you're going to, like, Uber there. And then you're like that guy that comes into Applebee's with his 10-speed. You know, that fucking drunk? You know, that guy, yeah, you know, he's there to party. Right? Oh, see that? Let's relax, honey. Yeah, we'll go to we'll go to the beach. Oh, excuse me. I need $100 permit now to get on the beach. Oh, okay. And let me dodge every red light camera on the way to the beach. It's like playing a fucking video game. It really is. They got all the town. You can't even go to a park anymore. They threw a turnstile at every park that you go to now. We got a park near me, I swear to God. You go in there, and it's right across from a sewage disposal plant. That's your view. You're looking at a shit processing factory. And they just threw up a turnstile there, and you got to pay like, oh, please. It's like $10 to get in. Unless you buy the $100 permit. It's like, fuck you. Not only that, they're dumping the shit right into the water. Oh, it's after it's treated. I'm sorry, after it's treated. And they won't let you swim half the time because they're having like biological blooms, bacterial blooms in the water from all the shit that they're pumping into the fucking bay. Oh yeah. That's where I want to go swimming. You come out, you're covered in dingleberries in this dump. You get your $10 worth? Come on. My God. Then you got then you come home to relax, you got the town kicking down your door. Oh yeah, the town wants to come in, do inspections on your houses. What's this all about? I got a guy walking through my house with a clipboard. I wake up from a nap. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Checking this, checking that. Who knows? He's fucking casing the joint. You got to pay him off. Oh, yeah, you got to pay him off. Please. I got to get out. I got to get out of this place. This fucking crazy place. And then I love it. Then you go to work and it's fucking... You hear about it all the time. Listen, I got this running bet in my head about who's going to come into my job and just fucking machine gun the place. Yeah. And the news will never come and talk to me about it. That's what I'm waiting... They'll go talk to some asshole. I don't know. Joe was a perfectly normal guy. I didn't expect him to do anything like that. I've never met anybody normal in my life. So I know that fucking Yahoo's lying to me. I wish the news would talk to me. I tell you right now. I'd be like, I can't believe it fucking didn't happen sooner. Yeah, I can't believe it doesn't happen on a daily basis around here. That's what I would tell the news. I know 5 people at my job that I'm like, I have an escape route. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would jump behind some cement bags. I know all the spots. I'd crawl out of this hatch. I know everybody else would be surprised to hear gunfire, not me. I know my escape route. Please. Please. You know, you want to know my theory with the mass shootings that are happening? I know the answer. Check the medicine cabinet. You never hear about that. Just check the medicine cabinet. This is where all your problems are. There are so many people fucked up on pills out there, it would blow your mind. And I got to drive with these animals on the road. Please, if you saw the behavior of some people on the road, it's impossible for them not to be on pills. That guy in Vegas that shot from the hotel room? Check his medicine cabinet. You didn't hear anything about that. I guarantee you this guy was popping pills or just coming off pills. Because that's what happens. I got this girl at work. She's all on these fucking crazy pills. Her life's all fucked up, right? She lives by herself. You know, she's got a bunch of cats. She comes in one day like smiling, happy. The next day, she's dragging ass on the floor. She's up, she's down. We know what's going on here. And she's quite open about it. Like, I tried to get off my pills and this, that, the other thing. No, don't try to get off your pills, honey. You know what happens with these pills? You start taking them and you feel good. And you're like, I don't need the fucking pills anymore. And then you throw the bottle in the trash. And next thing you know, you're going into a fucking manic depression. You're loading an AK-47 in your basement. This is what you got to deal with on top of everything else. A bunch of fucking maniacs. Get out of my country. Then when you go to the park and you put your son on the swing set starts squeaking like the bolt's gonna shear off, and I feel like every time I go to you know what I'm going to design? A little can of WD-40 for your hip. So when you go to the park with your kids, you can oil the fucking swing set. Can we get a maintenance guy down there? I'm paying $10 to get in this dump! I ain't got no list. I don't got any plan. That's it. I don't come in with a plan anymore. What do you want to talk about? I'd say the thing that really put me... the end of my video game career to me is very sad. It was like towards the end I was just floundering. And it all started with 64-bit. I blame it on 64 bits. I blame it on the Dreamcast, and I blame it on the Nintendo 64. The Nintendo 64 is where it started. Before that, man, I was living high on the hog. I had my Sega Saturn. I had my PlayStation. Yes. Okay? And then the N64 came out. And I remember seeing it and being blown away by Mario 64. And being even more blown away by that Christmas, my girlfriend buying me an N64. I mean, this is crazy. Well, I should have kept her. And at this point, I remember playing Super Mario World and thinking to myself, this is really cool. Like, this is a really cool concept. And then realizing that every game after that was basically Super Mario World 64. What am I saying? World? Super Mario. There was these 3D graphics. And I really wasn't in. You know, I was just into 2D platformers, 2D shooters, vertical, horizontal, you know, role-playing games. And this is just something that you couldn't find on the N64. And the only game I ever had for the N64 was Super Mario 64. So that just tells you, I got the damn thing for free, guys. And I didn't even open up my wallet to buy another game. I mean, I had played other games. I had played a little bit of GoldenEye with Scott, which was fine. You know, I know it's a beloved game by everybody. I get it. And, you know, a couple other games here and there. You know, the Mario Kart, right? That was fun because everybody had it. Yeah. You know, I would play these games, but to be honest with you, I just drifted away from the N64. Hours that I played it, you probably can count on two hands. Not even. So I just saw that this was the direction and kind of tuned out. And then when the Dreamcast came out, I remember me and Phil had gone to this game store. And we saw Power Stone. And we were just like, wow, what is this all about? And I remember Phil and I playing the demo for Power Stone. And it was like, oh my God. But the idea of getting a Dreamcast at that time, we had no money, man. We just, at this point, we had no money. And I think Phil wanted to buy a Dreamcast. And I just passed on the Dreamcast just simply because at that time I was going to school and I just didn't have any money. But the Dreamcast I really wanted. So what did I do in typical fashion? I just waited for the Dreamcast to come down in price. And I think I wound up buying my Dreamcast cheap, man. It was like $80 or something like that. It was like the Dreamcast was on the way out at that point. And what made me buy the Dreamcast, maybe I paid more than that for it. Because I wanted Phantasy Star Online. This is like my glimmering hope. This was what was going to bring me back into gaming. I got Phantasy Star Online and a Dreamcast. And I remember taking it home and connecting it to the internet. Oh, yeah. And playing Phantasy Star Online. But for some reason, it just didn't seem... I was expecting Phantasy Star, you know? I was expecting Phantasy Star 2, Phantasy Star 4. And what did I get? Remember you would go to that hub world where everybody was running around? And then from there you would journey out. But the game felt so small to me. I thought I didn't even know how to play it correctly. It just didn't seem like there was much to do. It seemed like I was covering the same ground over and over again. And I was just grinding. And it's like, I knew the game was bigger than this, but I couldn't find my way out of it. I was like completely lost. But what really sealed the deal for me is I remember I moved in with this girl. and I'm playing Phantasy Star online, and I got the headset on, and I remember I think I was probably even like yelling to somebody or yelling at somebody or something like that, and I remember my girlfriend came home from work, and she comes through the door, and I'm like in bed in my pajamas, propped up, and I'm yelling, and I got the fucking headset on, and the joystick. I mean, the Dreamcast joystick was like this fucking like whammo frisbee in your hand. And she walks through the door, and I'll never forget like the look of disappointment in her eyes. And I look at her, and I just had like this look of guilt on my face. Because it was like, here she comes home from a hard day's work. We're in this whole apartment thing together now. This is like the first time I ever moved out. And I was just like, I can't do this. In my mind, I can't do this. It was fun, but I was like, this shit doesn't fly. It just doesn't fly. So I remember the Dreamcast kind of went away. And I didn't even have a lot of Dreamcast games either. I'm trying to think of the Dreamcast games I had. Was it Jet Set Radio? Jet something radio. I had that. That was all right. But I mean, I wasn't even really feeling the Dreamcast. And then I got an Xbox. And I got the Xbox because all my friends were playing Ghost Recon. And I remember them telling me, "Oh, this is so cool. You know, we go out in groups or whatever, and we all play together. We all log on." They talked me into it. I went out. I got an Xbox. Next thing you know, I really liked Ghost Recon. I loved the idea. It was like this vast, very open world, and it was like you could get lost. I love the idea of being a sniper. You know, doing the long range thing. You know, hiding, very slow paced. This was fine with me. I didn't need a lot of action.
Another kill.
I like to see where people were, and I like to like run around the perimeter and just like hide and like help out from a distance. That was my whole thing. Oh yeah, that was really cool. And I remember playing with my buddy Frank one night, and we're doing missions together. And I remember we got stuck on this one mission. It was really hard. It was like Frank had to run ahead to a spot. I had to give him like cover fire, and then I would run up to the spot, and he would cover me with fire. And it was like this really difficult part of the game. And we had been playing all night long, and we were stuck on this one mission. And then now finally it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And the time just melts by when you're playing these types of games. Do you understand? It was like it seemed like just an hour ago it was like 5 o'clock at night. And now it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh yeah. And I remember just like being like, I didn't want to stop playing, but I was like, I gotta get to bed. I thought I had work the next day. I was like, I gotta get to bed. This is ridiculous. So I remember we're almost to the end of this mission. Like we're about to complete it, and we worked so hard for it. And Frank, I'm looking at Frank through a scope light or whatnot, and he's crouched down next to a building. We're almost where we need to be. We're like so excited to get there, right? And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, wouldn't it be hilarious if I just fucking shot Frank and went to bed? I remember Frank's laying there and he's waiting for me to advance, and I advance and I pull out my RPG. As I'm aiming it at Frank, I see Frank's little character there, like waiting. I burst out into the type of laughter you can't even imagine. To me it was so funny. I was just laughing out loud, knowing that I was gonna fucking gun down Frank at this moment in the game. And I remember I shot him with a fucking rocket launcher, and as the rocket's going toward his head, I just fucking shut off the machine and went to bed. And I'm fucking in bed just giggling about it. I remember talking to him the next day. He's like, whoa, what the fuck happened, bro? I said, oh, must have been a problem with the server. Moments like that were really fun, right? And then the multiplayer games, like the multiplayer online games happened, and then this type of thing happened. I remember I was going back and forth between the computer. I was playing this game on the computer. It was like, basically my friends would taunt me into games, like Ghost Recon, and then it was Ashron's Call on the computer. You know? This is right around the time when games like World of Warcraft were blowing up, right? But we were playing Ashron's Call. And oh my God. I remember I tried to get into it. I was into it for a while. I mean, this game was pretty incredible. This was one of the first, multiplayer game. It was like, everybody was in, right? People you didn't know, you were crafting, you were designing spells and whatnot. And I just remember I was running with my friends. They were leveling me up. And we'd fight this, go to a fort. And this is where the experience is. You fight the golems over here. And you get the experience, and that was really fun. It was really fun cruising with your team. But I got news for you. My friends were investing a lot more time into this game than I was. So they were just leveling up to they got to the point where they were just dragging me around like dead weight. And I felt like I wasn't even getting anything accomplished. The only reason why I was getting anything accomplished was because I was palling up with them. And this is when I started to realize that there were people out there that had absolutely no fucking life. Not only that, my buddies were using macro programs while they went to work. Like, they'd go to work and use a macro program. They would sit there and fight the same bosses. They would go to a respawn point and just fight the same enemies and just level up to I remember my one friend was 300. And at the time, a level 300 was ridiculous. It didn't happen. It just didn't happen. He was one of the big shots in Ashron's Call. And I started to realize the amount of time you got to sink into these games. It just left me behind. I thought it was fun, but the realization is you'll never be competitive in these games. And then playing games like, I don't know, the first Call of Duty, I believe it was, and it was just you can't be competitive. And then that kind of just I don't know, pushed me away. And we even got to the point where I was so fed up with the Xbox that I did a trade at work with a kid for a Gamecube. I said, fuck it. I said, this Xbox isn't really the direction I'm looking to go. And I was talking to this young guy at work. And I was he's like, hey, he's got this Gamecube. I said, hey, you want to trade for that Gamecube? Because he was all into talking about Xbox and whatnot. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I was he's next day he shows up with the Gamecube. He's like, here, handing it to me. So I was like, oh, that's a bad sign. And then I got the Gamecube, and I liked the Gamecube. I liked the package of the Gamecube. I thought it was listen, Nintendo, did they build a bad system? I mean, come on, think about it. The original Nintendo had its quirks, but it never broke down on me. All my years playing it. The Super Nintendo's fucking bulletproof. The N64, same deal. The GameCube, it's to me, it's one of the most robust systems I've ever seen. That thing, you can roll it down a staircase, especially for a CD-ROM system. Are you kidding me? Christ. I closed the door on my Turbo Duo too hard. I hear capacitors explode. I pick up my Turbo Duo, I got a puddle of fish oil underneath it from exploded capacitors. You never know what's going to go wrong with that fucking thing. Gears grinding. Hey, yeah, so the GameCube, I remember, and then I played Beautiful Joe. Because that was almost like a side-scrolling platformer, right? I got a kick out of that game, and I played Ikaruga. And that was it. That was it, baby. And then I said, fuck it. Then I gave up on everything. Because, I don't know, I was looking for 2D stuff, man. I was just looking for 2D stuff. So then I lost it altogether. And right around, I think it was like 2003. I remember I went to Radio Shack, I went to Best Buy. I was looking for, I'm like, I'm going to hook up all my old systems again. I'm talking in television. I'm going to hook up all my old systems again. And this was like a weird thing to do. And you know how I knew it was a weird thing? I thought it was the greatest idea of all time. I said, I'm going back, baby. I'm done with this bullshit. I'm playing the old games. And I want to go and get all the old games. So I remember going to Radio Shack or Best Buy, and I'm looking for. I'm going to hook up all the old systems. You know, I had a Jaguar, my fucking, Saturn, everything. But I needed a switch box. You know how you plug in the RCAs, so you could just have a switch box. So what I wanted it, so I had all my systems. I had a spot in the basement. I'm living with this girl in a different apartment, and I had a spot in the basement, much like I do now, right next to the oil burner. I swear to Christ, I spend most of my time next to a goddamn oil burner. I'm gonna die of carbon monoxide poisoning one day. So one day this burner is gonna break loose or something like that. A pipe's gonna break and flood the place with carbon monoxide. I'm just gonna drop dead, playing old video games. I can't think of a better way to go. I just want a nice man cave. I got a guy at work. He's trying to push a fucking a pinball machine on me. You imagine I gotta say no to a pinball machine? I know he's gonna give it to me for next to nothing, and I gotta say no to a pinball machine. And he's just such a nice guy that I can't just flip it, like take it from him and flip it. He knows I'm into video games, and he wants to go to a good place, so that's why he'd probably give me a good deal on it. No, I can't be like, a month later, hey, how's it? How you doing in that game? And I'm like, yeah, terrific. Really? Did you get the multi-ball thing? Yeah, well, not really. It's gone. I don't know. I'm turning down a pinball machine. Yeah, have any idea how awesome it would be to have a fucking pinball machine? I'm thinking to myself, can I put it in the shed? Can I put it? I'm like, no. Maybe I'll put it in the basement and the wife won't see it. Like, you start thinking crazy. Like, I'll make it into like a Murphy bed where it folds up into the wall. And you think I'm joking you? I don't know. Just want a man cave, man. Anyhow. Yeah, so I went to like Radio Shack to get that Switch thing, so you could switch all the gaming systems. And I remember asking a kid there, "Excuse me, do you have the RCA switcher? You know?" And he's like, "Oh, it's like I don't know. Let me look into that." He's checking on the computer, and he's like, "Why? What do you want? What are you getting that for?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to hook up all my old my old game systems. You know, Super Nintendo, you know, this, that, the other thing." And he looked at me. I'll never forget this. He looked at me and he goes, "Why would you want to do that?" And I couldn't believe that he said that. I couldn't believe that he didn't see the genius vision that I had. And that's how people felt about it. And that's when you could get games dirt cheap. But to be honest with you, I wasn't even smart enough to go out and get games at that point. I was just thinking, like, I'll hook up the stuff that I have. Yeah. So there you have it. And the only thing that's that is basically what ended my career with video games. So I missed out on the Xbox 360, which is sad. That's really sad. That's a game system I wish I hadn't missed out on. I missed out on the Wii. It's actually a good thing. You know, and moving forward, I mean, you know, where are we at now? I missed out on the PS3. I missed out on the PS2, to be honest with you, which is kind of... I missed completely out on the PS3. And here we are at the PS4. The PS4 is reeling me back in. It's reeling me back in. It really is. I was playing pinball with my son the other day. Stern pinball, Gottlieb pinball, you know, like all these, like, you know, high-res pinball tables they reproduce and whatnot. Fantastic. Fantastic. I was playing Teed Off. You ever play Teed Off or Terminator 2? Oh, yeah. And then I hand the joystick for my son, and he just keeps on tilting the pinball table over and over again. And, you know, he's happy doing that. So am I. I don't fucking know. All right, listen. You just turned into the greatest video game program in the history of human civilization. And you better believe that. With the 4K face! We'll see you next time.